Good afternoon. Up on Grange, as Jake always likes me to say. So yeah, we are here for the next sort of, I don't know, 36 hours or so, just to do a small little video and show you how I would attack winter. Now, I've tried several times to come up here, but unfortunately due to scheduling, either website scheduling or my own schedule, my own private schedule, or weather, or in the last instance that I was booked on, the lake froze. So I've been trying for all winter to go over here and actually do a video and show you how I would attack a cold winter session. And unfortunately it's not quite worked out, but here we are, 20 something of January, and we're now blue sky and actually quite mild, but we are in the midst of storm Human or something. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Welsh, I think, or Gaelic or Celtic sort of name to it. So that's due sort of tonight, and we've had a bit of blowy during the day, so, and we're also expecting a little bit of filthy weather over the weekend, so we'll have to see exactly how this video pans out. But other than that, the pressure and everything else is absolutely bang on for a bit of fishing. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed that we actually get onto some fish, but the light is fading fast, so without any further ado, let's get the show on the road.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, after what feels like a dog's age, I've finally managed to choose my swim and get 3 rods out. I've based my decision, well, not on a lot really, to be honest. I kind of had a feeling the fish would show after dark, but I really wanted to get my house up and try and get some rods out as early as possible with this storm that we were supposed to be having, and the weather and the rain that the weather forecast was predicting. So I'm kind of in a rush when I got here, or at least that was the plan. But after, I don't know, probably about an hour's walking, I made the decision to come into mangrove. So I proceeded to get some rods out, and while I was doing that, one smallish fish crashed to my right hand side, sort of between me and the pipe, I think is the next swim across. So they're here, sort of, well, at least in the vicinity, and yeah, I feel confident. Had a small let around, didn't want to disturb the swim too much. The mangrove is very, very, very shallow, so if they are here, they want to be here, and I didn't really want to spook them off too much. So a little 1 ounce lead and a few casts around, finding a few likely little areas, and hopefully the fish tomorrow, what's the weather supposed to be doing? Where's my phone? So the weather is changing every time I look at it, so let's see what it says tomorrow. Okay, so tomorrow we've got sunshine pretty much all day, and it's not going to be warm. I think this says here about 5 degrees is going to be its hottest, so there is a very, very good chance, if that sun really does come out, that they're going to want to come up and warm up. So this nice little shallow area could prove to be a bit lucrative if the fish play ball. So I'm going to keep my fingers crossed. I've got the option to move as always. You don't book your swim here, you just book your spot on the lake and then you choose where you want to go. So I can move, not a problem. There's only 2 other anglers on here, and it's actually 2 people I know, believe it or not. Didn't know they were coming here, it was just random. And of course there's a day swim just round on the other side. So yeah, I think I'll have a look in the morning, see what I feel is going to be the best plan of attack. Leave it as it is, or move, or have a little stalking session over in the day swim or not, we'll see. So I am now going to clear this bomb site up of my bivvy. It's absolute chaos. It looks like I've just grabbed hold of my bag, shook it violently, and everything kind of fell out and went everywhere. So that needs to be sorted out imminently, and I'm going to go to bed, get some sleep, and hopefully get up. I'll probably miss first light. Bit of a rough week at work, so I'm absolutely shattered, so I'll probably end up sleeping in, which isn't great, but we'll see. Hopefully be up for sort of bit 6, half 6. That's the plan. I'm going to set my alarm, and with a bit of luck we won't oversleep it. Other than that, hopefully see you in the morning. Ooh, look at that. That did not take long at all. Was not expecting that at all. Hadn't heard anything in this area whatsoever, and get this slow take. It just goes to show it might be just above freezing and the water is just defrosted, but the fish will still feed and move around quite happily in, I don't know, 2.5, 3 foot of water. And you know what, mate? He don't look a bad one either, you know. Proper scaly bagger. Right, well, as I wasn't expecting it, I'm not in the slightest bit ready for it. So I'm gonna get this fish unhooked in the net and get myself ready for some photographs. What are we saying? Let's have a look. Oh, that'll do. First fish of the year, £20, 5 ounces. Let's get this beastie photographed. What a wonderful fish you are. Look at you. Legit, not a mark on it. So cold though, it's like a block of ice. Just goes to show how cold it's been in that lake. Oh, right, let's get you back, beauty. What a remarkable looking fish you are. However, before you go back, let's have a look, see where you were hooked. Tiniest little mark, little leech in its mouth. Always worth the treat. Honestly, this fish with. I mean, if I say there isn't a mark on this fish, you wouldn't believe me. Look how pristine this fish is. Look at that, look at the scales on it. I mean, the mouth, look at that. Absolutely immaculate. Hardly a mark on it. Beautiful fish. Well, Jake, you're certainly running a good fishery, mate, and these fish are testament. Absolute stunner. And there really isn't a bad side to it. Look at that. Absolutely stunning. Right, let's get it back. I'm not going to lie. I know these fish in here are renowned for being absolute scrappers. But this fish is so cold, it didn't even know it was hooked. Go on, beauty. Look at that, it's going to sit there and sulk now, look at that. Get his bearings. Good morning. Up late, thought I would be. Hey ho. So, after that one last night, nothing much else to report. I had a liner probably around, I don't know, about 4 or 5 o'clock this morning, and that didn't come to anything. I never saw a fish, heard a fish. Nothing was active last night, splashing around apart from the birds. So I'm gonna make myself a brew and a spot of porridge for my breakfast. and I'm going to go and have a little walk. Winding first, obviously. Have a look around. I did sprinkle a little bit of bait in the day swim yesterday, but I wanted to go and see if that was still there, but the birds have absolutely smashed it this morning. So that's going to have gone. But I want to go around there and have a look. There's still a couple of like little snaggy trees there where the fish could hide out in. So I'm going to go and have a look in there. Jake's cleared, I think he calls it Goose Point, I think. That little slither of, sort of that slithery spit that comes out from where the inlet is. And you can have a walk out on there now and have a look. So I'm going to go out there and see if I can see anything hiding around. Just got to keep active now, just got to make an opportunity happen. It's likely the fish are going to come in here now during the day, warm up a little bit, shallower water, either that or they're just going to go up in the layers and just disperse away. But I'll find out after a walk and see what I feel, whether or not I'll move or stay here. I don't know yet. I think I'll probably stay unless something really is obvious that the fish have moved. Then I'll probably stay, but we'll see. We'll see. There's always a stalking opportunity as well. I could always take a rod and a net somewhere, try and turn one fish into two. But first off, I'm going to keep myself warm. Have a little porridge pot and a coffee. And come up with a plan of attack for the rest of the day, I think. So while I'm sitting here eating my breakfast, I thought I'd run you through a few tips for winter fishing. My first tip for winter fishing would always be location. There's no point even thinking about buying bait, packing the van, doing whatever, those kind of things before you've even got your location right. And what I mean by location is picking the right lake. Not every lake's got good winter form. Once you've found that lake, then obviously the location on that particular lake is also very key. And it's not always the deepest part of the lake, as a lot of people tell. For instance, last night, late in the evening, I had one out of 3 foot of water. So it just goes to show the fish really do go wherever they favour. Secondly, my second pointer is dress correctly. Now, a lot of people say layer up, and that is sort of true. So what I would do, I get quite hot and I'm quite active when I'm fishing. I did a lot of steps yesterday. I was walking for probably a good hour or so, walking around the lake and working up a sweat. So all my layers I will check to make sure I have wicking properties. And what that does is it pulls the moisture away from your skin, and it kind of goes into the next layer and eventually evaporates, keeping you warmer for longer. Obviously the more you sweat, the harder it's going to wick, so you still need to be a bit careful about your activity level and how much you are exerting yourself, because you don't want to sweat too much. Even the best wicking layer is still going to struggle at a point, so careful how much you're sweating. So what I'm wearing, I'm not actually wearing a huge amount, so I've got basically a thermal layer on, very thin, sort of figure hugging, skin tight thermal layer on underneath, and then I've got like a mid layer jumper on, again still quite tight, still quite fitting, but it's got a little bit of bagginess to it, so it can trap a little bit of air. Again, it's got wicking properties, and that is me. I'm in my bivvy. Yes, I've got my heater on, but it's only on very low. You can probably hear it whirring away in the background. And then my next layers on my top half is a Sherpa fleece, Again, because of the nature of the fabric, it offers natural ability to help the moisture evaporate from your body. And then if it's blowing an absolute hoolie or it's raining, I've got a Gore-Tex layer. And again, breathable, but again, only to a point. So the more layers you've got, the harder it is for that moisture to go through your to go through the layers. So just be a bit mindful. And then for my feet, I've got an understock. Can't speak this morning. I've got a lining sock. So again, just a nice thin sock. Superior wicking properties on that. I spend some money on my socks because they're going to be trapped in your boots all day long, and they are going to get naturally warm, and you're on them all day long walking around, so your feet will sweat a lot. So spend some money on your socks. You'll thank yourself for it, believe me. So lining socks, and then a merino wool sock, hiking sock, and then a pair of leather boots. Now, I can't stress enough the importance of leather boots. They're a natural product. They have natural breathing ability. So you can, whoops. Let's put some more water in my coffee. So what will happen is the moisture in your foot will go through that shoe a lot easier. It's a lot more breathable. And then you wax it periodically just to make sure that the waterproofing stays right on your shoe. So after every trip, I will clean all the mud off my boot, and I'll give it at least one coat of wax, and I'll sit it on or near the radiator, let it warm up and go straight through that fabric. So look after your boots. Obviously there's going to be times when the water level is really bad and welly boots are necessary, but remember, the longer you spend in welly boots, the less breathing your feet have got, so the more likely chances they're going to sweat, and then they'll get wet, but they won't be able to, the water won't be able to wick away from your foot, so your foot will get quite cold quite quickly. So invest yourself into a pair of leather boots. I mean, even Gore-Tex boots to a point, not a huge fan of them, don't find them overly waterproof compared to leather, but that's only my opinion. So do invest yourself in a good pair of boots, and definitely spend some money on a couple of good socks. And then my bottom half, much like my top, I've got a pair of long johns on, skin tight long johns, and then I've just got a pair of tracky pants over the top. I don't tend to get too cold on my bottom half, so I tend not to worry as much as what I do on my top half and my feet. So I tend to get away with a pair of jockey pants. And then I've got a couple of injuries in my knees, and I do struggle with the cold with my knees. So I've got a couple of neoprene knee supports. So when it does get really cold, I can pop them on as well. Just give my knees a little layer of, an extra layer of protection to stop them from getting cold. Otherwise they get really, really stiff and quite hurty. So there we go. Really, that in a nutshell is how I dress. And obviously you've got gloves, and there's hats and all those kind of things. I mean, I wear a beanie if I really need to. I know people who wear those snood things, but I find myself quite restricted on those because I'm quite a hot person, so once I start getting warm I really build up that heat quite quickly. So there's everything out there for you at your disposal. I would dress to you, so if you are quite sweaty, consider that, and how wet you're going to get during your activity on the lake. Walking around, pushing your gear, setting the gear up, all that kind of stuff is really going to make you sweat. So just think about that. As for my time on the bank, then I would consider then food and drink, and making sure that you're comfortable that way, making sure that the food that you've got is going to give you good energy levels and slow release energy throughout the day. That will help you keep you warm. Obviously hot drinks, that's if you're into hot drinks. That will also help warm you through. So make sure that you've got a gas canister cover, because if it gets really, really cold, your gas won't actually burn. It's quite important, and a lot of people forget this. So Ridge Monkey do this battery operated gas canister cover, and you just plug it into your power bank, leave it for a few minutes, and there's like a little electric heating element that goes around the gas canister cover, and it's just warm enough to keep your gas above that temperature, so it will always work, and it is a phenomenal bit of kit. So yeah, I think it's about 5 degrees or 4 degrees, something like that, that your gas will get down to, and then it just won't work. So that gas canister cover will then allow that gas to use always, no matter what's going on outside, and you've got power, you can plug it into that, leave it for a few minutes, and you'll have gas, and you'll use all the gas in that bottle. Because what you'll probably realise now is when you go home, if your gas bottle says it's empty, you give it a rattle, it's still probably got a quarter left in it. So this will allow you to use all of the gas in the cylinder all of the year round. So invest yourself in one of those. You'll have tea and coffee no matter what the weather. And another top tip, if you know it's going to be really, really cold, fill your kettle up from your water butt the night before you go to bed. And then if that water butt does freeze, then at least you've got a kettle full of water. You can turn your stove on, that ice will melt, and you can make yourself a brew in the morning. Lastly, really, you're looking at bait choices. Again, that's just going to be down to the lake and what they prefer. I offered that competition to Jake a little while ago, and I'm still using that S7 down here. And if anyone says fish meals don't work in the winter, nonsense. Fish meals work in the winter. A protein molecule is a protein molecule regardless of its source. So it's just got to be good quality, it's got to be digestible for them, and it's got to be a good soft bait, and they're not going to favour anything too hard. Don't forget, like I've said already, the fish are cold-blooded, so everything on that fish is slowed right down. So they're not going to be taking huge quantities of food, because it's going to take a long time for it to pass through them. So 10mm baits, 12mm baits, something like that, something really, really soft. If your bait isn't too soft, you can pop it in a bucket, pour some hot water on it, let it soak, and that will soften it as well. You've also got to think about the attraction level as well. Again, because their senses have slowed right down, you can afford to put a little bit of extra oomph in there, a little bit of extra liquid, a little bit of extra attraction. That will help boost its appeal towards the fish. Again, colour as well, give it a fleck of colour, your hook bait. Their eyesight's really poor during the winter months, so having a little flash of colour above and beyond could make your hook bait a little bit more attractive to the fish. I caught that one earlier on a raised breed, which is like a bright red coloured wafter, and I just shaved the top of it, and I shaved the top of the cork on food bait wafter, and it was just like a little sight stop on there. So yeah, anything like that really helps. So, and just keep yourself warm, you know, make sure that you've got everything with you and you're prepared. You know, it's not so bad in the summer months if you forgot something. You can generally get away with it, but in the winter months, if you make a mistake, it's going to punish you, you're going to suffer. So in my bivvy here now, I've got a diesel heater. That's just blowing a little bit of warm air in here now. Yes, the door is wide open, but I've still got a nice warm draft coming through me. So yeah, anything like that, just got to be careful to not zip your door up if you're going to use your stove or a gas burning heater. Just got to make sure you're well ventilated, and yeah, above all, be safe. Right, well, just been for a walk. I'd have taken you with me, but my batteries died in the cold last night, and I've even got this camera plugged into a power bank even now. A battery is charged, but anyway, it's enough of my dramas. An opportunity has arisen in the day swim. There's at least one fish in there, maybe two, turning up an area up there at the moment. I've trickled a little bit of bait in there, and they're staying, and they're just literally troughing that area now, turning it up to a real silky cloud. I can't really see what's going on, so they're having it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have a little stalk up there. I will take you with me. Like I say, that battery has charged. And I've got a little float set up on a little slider. So nice high vis float, and it'll be on a lift method. And little high attract hook bait, 6-inch, 7-inch rig, something like that. Little, 6-7-inch boom, little flexible end, nice and stiff, 1 ounce lead. Try and get in as quietly as possible. So let's go and have it and see if I can get that, at least one of them. That's in there. We'll see, fingers crossed. Right, so the fish have been in there. There's a few logs and bits and pieces, so I've just got to be a bit careful. You can see this long one just here. There's a couple of smaller ones just dotted around, but they've been in this area here. There's a lovely little clear spot just there, and they've just been on the back of that. I'm not sure if they're still there. They might be hanging back in that shadow a little bit. Right, let's go around the other side and see if we can see them. Sun's moved a little bit. Looks a bit clearer down there now. They might have moved. That'd be a shame. A lot of birds down here as well this morning. They could have easily pushed the fish away. Even those half a dozen boardies that I put in could have spooked them a little bit. But I did see them get their head down on it, so see what that area looks like over here as well. Little area's primed here, because even though they might have gone now, there's always chance of another opportunity. Later on. I don't want to stick too much in. Don't want to attract the birds too much. A little scattering. Just get my rigs back for the night. So before I do, I thought I'd just run you through exactly what I'm doing. So I've got a metre of leadless leader, a little 2 ounce inline lead. I'm bait poling it out so I don't have to cast it or do anything else. So inline lead I think is actually by far a better hooking potential. There's not enough weed out there for me to worry about dropping the lead, so a light-ish inline lead is absolutely perfect. The ground is quite soft, so I don't want to go too heavy. So I think that's a 2 ounce or 2.5 ounce is absolutely perfect. And then I've got, I don't know, 7 inches there of, what's yours up on that, soft coated braid. And then I've got a cut down S7 wafter and a cut down raspberry wafter as a bit of a sight stop. There's a couple of little tungsten beads there on there just to help sink the line down a little bit more, and a shot on the hook. Right, well, if you know, you know really. What also I've done here, I've got a couple of different setups. What you'll notice, that's quite a short one, and that's with a stiff hook link, and that's a similar length to the first one with a stiff hook link as well. So the harder the bottom, the shorter and the stiffer the hook link I prefer. I think it gets in contact with that lead that much quicker, improves the hooking rate. And then on this one here, just got a yellow sight stop to try and mimic the corn. And on that one there, I've gone for a raspberry again. So I caught that fish last night on a raspberry, so I'm changing another one onto a raspberry to see if it's that makes a difference. So my mix I'm putting out, I do every time. I'm only doing it for a bite, so I'm doing each rod in separately, because I'm doing something slightly different on each rod. I'm sort of adding a component or removing a component just to see what's working, what's not, etc. So the only thing I actually prepare ahead of time is the boilie. So all I do is I just run it through my fingers, and you end up with lots of bits and bobs, a few whole ones, and then I just transfer a couple of handfuls into the bucket, just like that, and then a little pinch of corn, and a nice little bit of colour, and then some chopped worm. I'm not chopping this too coarsely, so there's again lots of biggish chunks there, full of aminos, and there's also not too much soil either. And then a nice pinch of casters. Carp absolutely love casters. A splash of the old cayenne pepper. It's another thing the carp absolutely loves. Spice. And on this particular rod, I'm putting out a little bit of hemp. Mix up. Right. Now, let that stand for a few minutes while I get the baiting pole sorted out, and that's just enough time now to allow that cayenne pepper to soak into that bit of boilie dust and give it a little bit of leakage. And then when it's in the pole, I'm just about to ship it, I get a bit of smoke and I drizzle that on top, and that just gives it a bit of a extra immediate hit as soon as it goes out there. Well, encouragingly, the guy opposite I know, Max, one of the other lads from DNA Baits, he's just had one. He's not long been here either, so right result for him. So it's nice to see that they're down this end of the lake as well, still. And then as we were just talking across the lake, the other guy, the new guy that came across, fishing in the opposite corner, heard his alarms going, so I'm not quite sure if he's actually landed a fish or not, but we did see him playing one for a while, so hopefully he's had one too. So it's still looking good for a bite. Seeing sort of like little signs here and there of disturbance on the surface. I had another look around the day swim, and the area was all clouded up. There's been no real birds over there for the last few hours, so the fish have been in there and had a bit of a go. So I've trickled another little bit of bait in there for, you know, maybe tomorrow, another opportunity that we might be able to get another bite. But all we can do is just remain positive and hopeful and keep our fingers crossed, and we'll see what the night brings. Well, so cosy was I overslept. My wife rang me at 9:30 and she woke me up. So I've definitely outstayed my welcome. Unfortunately, nothing happened in the night. I did have one small occurrence on my left-hand rod again, as I did Saturday morning, and about the same time as well, about 4:30. Very peculiar. No birds out there, nothing. And so yeah, must have been a fish swimming through my line. There is a lot of pike here. In this corner of this left-hand side of me, they keep shoaling up the road, just like a little bay to my left.
and they keep showing up the road to there and charging them. So I'm just wondering if one of them has picked up the line again. So I didn't strike it this time. I left it be, but still nothing. Also didn't hear anything else in the night, but I'll find out from the guys a bit later on. I was that deep asleep, I don't think I'd have heard it anyway. So time for me to finish my coffee and start packing camp down. Rain is due at 1 o'clock, so I've got a couple hours really to give it an hour's grace, just in case it is slightly wrong. So I want to be off by 12 really, if I can get packed up and done for then. I might have a quick walk around after I'm done, see if there's anything, an opportunity to have before I go, in a day swim or another swim if I see any bubbling, but we shall see. But hello, what was that? Wind's just picked up, something just went flying. That was a bucket on the wrap sticks. Right, so yes, a little bit of effort here, a little bit of extra kit to bring with me, but it all worked out in the end. We did manage to get one, so yeah, well happy with that. So it just goes to show fish mills do work in the winter. It's absolute nonsense about that. So just use whatever bait you're happy with using basically. If you know it works in the summer, there's a very, very good chance it's going to work in the winter. Just remember to use less of it. Fish's digestive system is a lot slower in the winter months, so it's very unlikely they're going to be troughing the same as what they will in the summer. So just fish for a bite, and you know, fish high attract stuff really. And what I mean by high attract stuff, I think it's, in my opinion, it's still got to be food bait, it's still got to be nutritionally viable, but make sure there's plenty of attraction in there, like liquids and colour and things like that. Like I say, everything about them is slowed down, so anything you can do to aid that attraction and get those fish in that area, it is better basically. So right, without any further ado, finish my brew, get the camp packed away, and catch you in a bit.
Well, that's all me packed up now, and the last thing I'll do is I'm going to go around this swim now and just do a quick litter pick. It's agony how many times you'll go to a lake and see people not doing a litter pick before they leave, and then you go around afterwards and there's fag butts and tea bags and crisp packets and sweet wrappers and God knows what in it. So always make sure, or at least I'll always make sure, I do a quick litter pick before I go, making sure there's no line, no sweet wrappers, no nothing lying around, so it's nice and clean for the next angler. And obviously you become a bit more welcome back by the owners if they know and can see you a little bit more active and concerted and making an effort to making sure the place is nice and clean when you leave. Oh, right, the weather really has come in. I just thought I'd take a minute to remind everybody that Ted Whitemans is a biosecure site, so you can leave all of your bulky nets, mats and slings at home. It's already supplied here, but don't forget to return them once you're done. Jake does keep a stock on them. He obviously knows who's booked on. He also replaces the mesh of the nets very regularly, just in case they get a bit worn or mouse eaten. And another thing to leave at home are your water buckets. Again, all supplied. Another little thing that he does, he's got a few barrows on hand as well, so if you find yourself without a barrow for whatever reason, there are a few here on site you can use. He's got it all here. Even a little carsy for you. Proper little chemical loo, look at that. Nice and clean. Toilet roll, disinfectant, even smells good too. Another little project Jake's got on the go. There's a little bait shack and tackle shop. It's not going to rival your local tackle shop. It's just going to be here for your odd bits and pieces you might run out of or forget, along with a little bit of bait and some other bits and pieces that he may or may not decide to sell. So that's going to be this year's project for him. And then a little project for his wife. Oh, that rain's really getting me. is, oh, there we go, there it is. It's a little burger van, bat van, or I don't know, little mini cafe, I suppose. But anyway, I'm sure that'll be absolutely amazing as time goes on. But before I get blown away and absolutely drown, I'm going to get in the van. Oh, right, well, beat the storm by the looks of it, just about. Right, I am all locked and loaded, and that is all she wrote. But as you can see, prepare properly for winter, and it ain't actually that bad. And there's always chance of a fish or two. So prepare properly, pack well, dress well, eat well, bait less, and I'm sure you can have some fun in the winter. Until next time.